Chosen one, stop. Not just your scrolling. Stop your mind for a moment. Because something just happened that you're about to dismiss as coincidence, and I need you to not do that. The moment your attention landed here wasn't accidental. It wasn't the algorithm. It wasn't random timing. There is a thread running through your life that connects every moment you've been brought to the edge of something bigger than you could explain, and this is one of those moments. You were led here, and what's about to be said was not written for everyone. It was written for the person who has been carrying a quiet knowing, something deep and persistent, and impossible to fully silence, that there is more to their life than what's currently visible, more than what they've been told, more than what the ordinary shape of their days has been able to contain. If that's you, don't move, because God is about to say something that your spirit has been waiting a long time to hear out loud. I want to acknowledge something first. You have been enduring, not just surviving, enduring. There's a difference. Survival is reactive. Endurance is the daily, deliberate choice to keep going when the reasons feel thin, when the prayers feel unanswered, when the gap between where you are and where you know you're supposed to be feels less like a distance and more like a verdict. You've been carrying things nobody gave you credit for, pain that you processed quietly because the people around you couldn't hold it with you, responsibility that landed on you not because you volunteered, but because you were the one who wouldn't drop it, disappointment that you absorbed with a grace that cost you more than it showed, because you refused to let it make you bitter, even when bitterness would have been completely understandable. Heaven has been watching all of that. Every quiet moment of choosing to keep going, every private battle that nobody witnessed, every time you held yourself together in public and fell apart somewhere no one could see, God saw it. And today, not tomorrow, not when things look better, not once you've figured it out, today, He is stepping into your timeline to tell you something deeper than comfort. He is here to redirect you. There is a reason your spirit has been restless, not anxious, restless. There is a distinction worth making. Anxiety is fear of the wrong thing happening. Restlessness is the soul's signal that it has outgrown the space it's been living in. It is the internal pressure of a life that is ready to expand, pressing against the walls of a life that hasn't caught up yet. That restlessness you've been feeling, the reason certain things that used to satisfy you don't anymore, the reason old patterns feel not just uncomfortable, but impossible to return to, the reason you can't fully explain why you feel out of place in rooms that used to feel normal, why ambitions that once felt exciting now feel like they belong to someone else's story. That is not confusion. That is alignment calling you forward. God is not standing at a distance watching you wander. He is actively, deliberately, right now, pulling you back into the direction of what you were actually made for. Closing doors, not to punish you, but to protect your path. Removing distractions, not to deprive you, but to simplify the route to what was always meant for you. When God closes a door in this season, don't fight it. Don't stand at the threshold, explaining why it should have stayed open. Walk forward. The closure is the confirmation. But here is what I really need to say to you. The thing underneath everything else. You were not created to fit. Not into the mold others designed for you. Not into the expectations of people who never fully understood what they were looking at when they looked at you. Not into the version of success that the world celebrates loudly and God barely recognizes. You were created on purpose, for purpose, and those are two entirely different things. On purpose means your existence was not an accident, not a biological event that happened to occur. Before you drew your first breath, before you were given a name, before anyone on earth knew you were coming, you were known. Scripture says it plainly. If I formed you, I knew you. Not would know you, already knew you. Past tense applied to a moment before time. That is not a poetic idea. That is the foundation of your identity. For purpose means your life has a direction built into it that no circumstance has the authority to erase. Failure hasn't erased it. Delay hasn't cancelled it. The wrong turns, the wasted years, the seasons where you couldn't find your footing, none of it reached deep enough to touch what God wove into you before you arrived. your purpose is still intact. It has always been intact. And now, I need to say something that might be the most important thing in this entire message. Your purpose is not what you've been chasing. It's not the career that looks impressive on paper. Careers shift with markets, trends, and circumstances. Purpose doesn't move. It's not the title that earns you a seat at certain tables. Titles are assigned by institutions. Purpose was assigned by God. One expires, the other doesn't. It's not the approval of people who weren't there when God was forming you. Approval is borrowed air. It fills you temporarily and leaves you needing more. Purpose breathes on its own. It's not the applause of a crowd that will be cheering something else by next season. Crowds follow momentum. Purpose follows calling. And calling doesn't need an audience to be real. Purpose is not what the world sees when it looks at you. Purpose is what God placed in you before the world ever got a look. And here is why this matters right now. In this specific season of your life, you have been measuring yourself against the wrong standard, comparing your pace to people who are running a different race, feeling behind on a timeline that was never designed for your assignment, apologizing for the size of the vision God put inside you to people who were never equipped to understand it. Stop. The reason your calling doesn't look like anyone else's is because it isn't anyone else's. The reason you can't make yourself fit into certain spaces is because you were not designed for those spaces. You're designed to create new ones. The reason ordinary feels like a cage to you is not arrogance, it's accuracy. You were built for more than ordinary, not more than others, more than the limited version of yourself that fear and other people's opinions have been trying to negotiate you down to. God didn't design you at half capacity. He didn't build you for a small life and then accidentally give you a large soul. The size of the longing inside you is not a cruelty, it's a blueprint. So here is what God is saying to you today, clearly, without metaphor, without softening. Come back to your actual assignment, not the performance of it, not the version that looks good to the people around you, the real one, the one that was whispered into your soul before you knew enough to talk yourself out of it, the one that surfaces when you're alone and honest, and not managing anyone's expectations. The one you've been quietly carrying since before you had language for it. That is the one. That restlessness is it knocking. That discomfort with ordinary is it refusing to let you settle. That knowing, the deep, persistent, impossible to silence knowing that there is more, is God's handwriting on the inside of your life. Don't ignore it anymore. Don't negotiate it down to something more manageable. Don't apologize for it to people who can't see what God already showed you. Walk toward it. Before you leave this moment, stay just a little longer. If something shifted while you were here, if a door inside you opened that's been closed for a while, if you felt something clarify, not dramatically, just quietly, settle into a kind of certainty, receive that. That is God redirecting you, not away from your life, into it. The real version, the one He designed. Go to the comments and write, I was made for this. Not as a hype declaration, as a quiet act of agreement between you and the God who made you on purpose, for purpose, with precision, with intention, with a calling that is still fully intact. That declaration is the beginning of you walking in a different direction. If this landed somewhere real in you, share it. Someone in your world is measuring themselves against the wrong standard right now, shrinking to fit a space they were never designed for, mistaking their restlessness for brokenness. This word is for them too. Subscribe, because what God is revealing about purpose, calling, and identity in this season is not a single message. There is more clarity, more confirmation, more of the language your soul has been searching for. If these words have done something in your spirit today, brought clarity where there was fog, direction where there was drift, permission where there was pressure, and you feel moved to support a ministry carrying this message, I invite you to give. Whatever feels right, whatever comes from a genuinely open hand. Every seed planted here travels forward to the next person who is one word away from remembering who they were made to be. Your generosity is not a transaction, it is a partnership in purpose. Thank you, beloved. You were made on purpose, for purpose, and this is only the beginning of remembering that.